Welcome to the Alaskan Journey podcast. My name is Jamin Gurker. I'm an associate real estate broker, but more importantly, I'm your first friend in Alaska. And today we're going to be talking about what it is like moving to Alaska from Texas. And to help me do that, we've got James here, recently moved up from there, and he's going to be sharing his story and talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So James, thank you for being here.
Pleasure to be here.
So let's just start from the top here. What got you thinking about moving to Alaska?
Honestly, job and change. I had thought about moving out of the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, because if you've been there, you know it's crazy traffic. And I think last year they had a report that said by the end of the century, Dallas-Fort Worth will be the biggest metroplex in the world. So it's just congested.
Wow, seriously?
Yes. So it's just congested. And I can give you an example in a minute about the congestion. But I never really thought about Alaska, to be honest. But I got a contract job supporting the state of Alaska from Texas. And they didn't care whether I moved because it's contractor. So I was just working there. But then talking to the people I'm working with, well, I wouldn't mind getting out of this congestion. You know, I was thinking Colorado, Montana, maybe. I asked my wife, what do you think about Alaska? So we came up here, I think it was like February of 22. And I had stumbled into your podcast prior to that. I talked to you briefly, I think, when we were up here. And then we were like, well, let's give it a shot. We both kind of wanted a change out of the congestion. So we started the process.
Gotcha. So what did your friends, families, colleagues think when you told them you were moving to Alaska?
A few of them had, let's just say, choice words to say. We had one family member it's, a removed family, aunt, I think, had asked my wife, so are y'all going to be like living in the middle of nowhere? Will you not be able to get to a grocery store or anything? And we're like, no, we're thinking about Anchorage and Wasilla. And there's Walmarts, there's Costco's, there's Kroger. They call it Fred Meyer there, but it's the same difference. They have Targets. They have, all these different things. So, we're not going to be in the middle of nowhere. It's just a little different. So.
It's pretty much like a Midwestern town with really great scenery.
Correct.
Right? And I think all of the what are they? The living off grid, the survival shows, they really kind of do us a disservice because it makes the whole experience seem like it's going to be like Liam Neeson and Into the Grave fighting off wolves every day.
Correct. And that was what I think some people thought, but to that congestion I was telling you about, the way I've related it to people since then is I'm like, when we were in Arlington, Costco was about 5 miles from my house, so not that far. It took me about 25 minutes to get there because of the traffic, the congestion. Here, Costco is about 50 miles from my house, a lot further, freely admit, but it only takes me about 55 minutes to get there. So just traffic and congestion.
No, I definitely see that. So you guys came up here in February 22.
Yes.
And were you visiting or were you guys like making the move at that point?
No, we were neither one of us had been here.
Okay.
And it was February, which, tends to be kind of the heart of winter. At least that's when typically the heart of winter is in Texas, January and February. So we were like, well, we wanted to check out the cold. What was it really like? Because we're Alaska. Texas is a lot further south, than Alaska is. So we kind of wanted just to see it, experience it, see what it was like kind of in winter. Because if it was just my wife couldn't stand it, then it was a moot point. Or if I couldn't stand it, it's a moot point.
That's fair.
And when we came up here, it was like, well, yeah, it's colder, but at least up here, the cold doesn't feel like the cold, at least it's been our experience, that when it gets cold in North Texas, doesn't quite feel the same. So we were like, yeah, this is not as bad as we thought it would be.
Yeah, I've lived in West Texas and College Station, San Antonio, and it is a biting cold.
Yes.
Some of those places. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So yeah.
Where all did you guys go when you were in the visit up here?
Well, originally we had not planned to go looking at any houses, anything like that. We were just coming to Anchorage to check out Anchorage, to explore a little bit. And then we were like, well, I think our second or third day here, we looked up, let's see some open houses. Well, yeah, I don't know that we want to stay in Anchorage. I would like a little bit further out, just looking at houses, you could see the further out you go, you can get an acre, 2 acres, the more area space you have. And so we just looked and poked our head in a couple places in Anchorage, and it's like, poked our head in a couple of Eagle Rivers. I don't want to say nothing disrespectful about Eagle River. I thought a lot of the houses were in pretty poor shape, and they're asking too much for them. Personal opinion, I'm being honest with you here.
That's fair.
For what they were. And so we checked out a couple of, we didn't go in any houses out in Wasilla or Palmer, but we drove out there, looked around, like, I kind of like it.
It's newer.
It's newer. It's more space. It felt less congested, more small town, even though compared to Arlington, Anchorage is a small town, so.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, like, Anchorage is like a small city with like big city problems.
Yes.
So it's hard. It still feels like a big city sometimes.
Correct. You're absolutely correct. And so, we might have to check out some places out here. So.
Very nice. So you guys were up here for the trip, kind of looked around a little bit. Did you get a chance to like get out of like the Wasilla and Anchorage area, or you stay pretty concentrated?
Really just pretty concentrated in, we did go all the way down to the Arctic Wildlife Center, south of Anchorage. That's really as far south as we went. And then Wasilla, north side of Palmer, was really the farthest out we went.
Gotcha. No, that's, when you're here for a short trip, it's very surgical.
It was that, and it was the length of the drive, and we just, again, being from North Texas, when it snows or ices there, the city shuts down for a day or two. Then everything melts, and you don't really care anymore. And so we were a little hesitant to be too far out and it get dark, and okay, now we're trying to find our way back, at night, even though GPS, it's like there's a lot of stuff we weren't sure about. So,
yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. So was there like a moment where you guys came to where it was like, okay, we're going to do this? Like, this is it? Or
not while we were here, really. Once we got, we wanted to experience it. Once we got back to Texas, it's like, I really enjoyed that. I liked the scenery. Cold wasn't just too terrible or anything like that. And then when you're getting back and you're leaving here and it's, 22 and we're landing in Texas and it's 75 and it's middle of February, you're like, it's going to be a hot summer. But then we just talked about it. And it's like, yeah, well, we want to give this a shot, but we had to look at, we got to sell our house. Got to see what we can sell our house for. Okay, how are we going to move everything? There's a lot of stuff to think through. We also wanted to just talk to our parents. So,
yeah. And I kind of came to that decision. And then after that, like because it's interesting to me looking at certain couples. Some couples, they make a decision and it takes them years to finally follow through on it. Others, it's like they make a decision and then like they've got all their stuff in the truck like 31 days later. So
we were not quite 31 days, but we were, by the time we got back from our vac trip to when we were staying in a corporate apartment, whatever you want to call it up here, was March, April, May, about 3.5 months.
So pretty dang close.
Yeah, correct. Because once we got back, my wife had a friend who's a realtor, so we called her. We're not saying we want to list just yet. We're curious, what you think. At that time, it still is to a slightly lesser degree, depends on the area. The Dallas-Fort Worth market was insane at that time. People were averaging 60, 70,000 more than asking price.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's aggressive.
Some of it depends on the area. It could be less, it could be more. And our house was only 6 years old, I think, at the time. And we had put some upgrades in it. So, our realtor was like, yeah, we can probably list it for at least X. Well, it's not a bad return on investment.
Right.
And then we'll probably get over that in offers. So, okay, well, we got to do a little cleanup. We got to start packing some stuff and different things, and then figure out how would we move. Because I'm like, I don't know that I want to try to drive a moving truck.
Yeah.
we just started proceeding.
Yeah. Outstanding. So, and then, sold that property, moved up here. What were some of the initial challenges for you guys as you were making the move up here?
One of the challenges was, if this is kind of what you're referring to, was as we're trying to buy a house remotely, that's a little challenging. And that would be something I would recommend people not do. Don't get me wrong. I got no problem with any of the realtors we've ever run into. And the one we used was incredibly helpful. So it's not that. There's a difference between, I like this and picture looks good. There's a little bit of that.
Yeah, and I obviously most of the people I work with are actually out of state, and so we do the virtual showings. But what we do is we try to set it up so virtual showings, and then during the due diligence period, during the inspection period, have them fly up and physically walk in the property.
Yeah,
because sometimes just the vibe of the property isn't right for somebody.
Correct. Yeah,
and you don't want to find that out once you're already closed and moving in.
Yeah, that and the moving all of our stuff up here. We use the U-Haul boxes, whatever you want to call those things, because none of the other services had warehouses up here. So
really, none of them have warehouses,
at least at that time. So they could only, ship up here if they could drop it at our house. Well, our house wasn't finished yet, so I couldn't just, right? Also wasn't just comfortable having them drop a box in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, and let's hope everything's okay.
Yeah, let's hope it's alone out there.
Correct. So we used the U-Haul boxes, which worked out pretty good. But we were trying to get, it takes a lot you start packing these things, and they're not quite as big as you think they are. Then you have all this stuff, and so we got to get rid of some stuff.
So kind of the downsizing then. And,
yep.
I'm assuming you guys drove the Alcan, or did you just fly up?
No, we basically sold my wife's car in Texas. It wasn't that old, but she wanted something to sit a little higher because after she had driven the car a couple times when we were up here, when you come up to a stop sign and there's a 3-foot snowbank that you can't see around, kind of, and I was like, well, my truck's not going to have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But her car would. So we had sold her car, put my truck on a shipping truck to ship it up here. And her parents and my mom dropped us off at the airport. We got off the airport, got a rental car, drove to our corporate apartment.
Too easy.
Yep. Waited for about a week and a half later, my truck showed up. So we picked up my truck, and then we had already looked at the process of starting to buy her a car.
So I know everyone's going to be upset at me if I don't at least ask. Do you remember how much it was to ship your car up here or truck?
At the time, my truck cost, it's a GMC Sierra, 4-door. It was, I think, $5,200 for right around. It was a little over $5,000, but I don't think it was quite $5,500. So.
Gotcha. And that's shipping it all the way from Texas.
That was from shipping it from Mansfield, Texas, where they picked it up, which is just south of Arlington, all the way to Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh, geez. So it did pretty much have to go through the Panama Canal or go do the Horn.
I believe the trucking service took it to put it on, I guess it was Seattle or right outside. I don't know if it was Washington, Oregon, where it got put on a barge. and then came up on a barge and unloaded at the port of.
Interesting. Okay. What was the experience like trying to get a car up here for your wife? Because that's definitely been mixed reviews for a lot of people.
Ours was very, very easy overall. The only issue, and I shouldn't even say this is an issue because this was an issue in Texas too at the time, being mid-2022, right after the pandemic, there's still mass auto shortages, in getting new cars a lot of times. So outside of that, it was pretty straightforward and easy. We had found one we liked shortly before we moved from Texas. So we had called the dealership or reached out to them. Would like to tentatively get this car. When will it be available? And they said it'll be available, should be, I think, early July. Here's my credit card. I want to put a down payment on it.
Okay.
We got here. They ended up having a week delay getting the car, I think. Well, here it is. That was it. I mean, so our experience was actually pretty easy, I would have said.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's good you guys were working with a dealer. I've talked a couple times before about my experiences trying to buy a used vehicle for private party up here. And it's a rodeo.
Yeah.
Like I spent 2 months driving, like having cars inspected and everything. Yeah. Finally, I had a drive chain that was going out on my current vehicle. I was like, got to get something. So ended up just having to go to the dealer and almost buy something brand new just because that's like the only thing that was realistically available.
Yeah. And without mentioning dollar figures, because I don't want anything to be inappropriate, but we were probably lucky because on the sale of our house in Texas, we made so much money that we were able to buy her car for just cash up here, brand new. Now we had some from the sale of her car. We were able to do a lot because of how much over asking we got in Texas.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, it's good when the market's working for you like that.
Yes.
It's great to be on the other side of it.
Yeah.
So what made you guys decide on because we've decided in like the Matsu Valley. We kind of talked a little bit about that. Like, what did you think about the Matsu once you got up here and got a little bit more time to kind of walk around and actually be more living up here?
Yeah, we like it. We like kind of some of the lightness of the traffic, even though there's a few spots, especially going through Wasilla, where you're going to hit some traffic. But relative to Dallas-Fort Worth, I still tell people, I ain't seen traffic yet. I just haven't.
Yeah, and it's funny to hear you say that because I heard you talking about Dallas, and it's like, oh, yeah, the people complaining in Wasilla, like most of them have not seen anything.
Correct.
Like
Dallas is one of those towns that it takes you an hour to get to Dallas from Dallas. Just kind of the way it is. And so, yes, there is, you sit through a light a couple times, but, we haven't really seen. So we liked that slower pace that, okay, so I got to sit through a light once. It's really not that bad. We've liked some of the open spaces, the less traffic, no matter what time of day you go out, you don't hear car horns and different things. So,
yeah.
And then the myriad of opportunities to go exploring. This looks like an interesting place to check out, and you just kind of wander out there, and so.
Have you guys found any really unique, interesting places to go exploring yet?
I guess it depends on your version of unique and interesting. and the reason I say that, because again, my whole history was in Dallas-Fort Worth. So going out to, I guess it's either in Houston or Willow. There's some trails out there that, some old cars have been spray painted and got bullet holes in them. That's a little different. That's not atypically woods things you see on a Klutner Raceway than the cars that are buried down there. To me, that's very interesting because I've just never seen anything like that before.
Eklutna Raceway. Is that out at Eklutna? And it's just
No, maybe that's not even the right name. That's what I thought it was called when if you're taking
is it like out on the Butte?
just south of there when you're going out the Glen Highway, exit the old Glen Highway.
Oh, okay,
and
I
you
know
go around, and then there's that fishing area that's kind of out there. There's when you walk across the other side, there's cars buried half in the dirt out there. And
Yeah.
I heard it called the Eklutna Raceway.
That's probably, yeah. I think they've got like some tail race thing up there.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
that's
maybe it's
probably
the
a different
trail
But yeah,
race.
either way,
Something, yeah.
racetrack out there though.
Correct. Yeah, just the south of that. So, and then just some of the different. Last year we got a side by side, and we took it, way up in the middle of nowhere, and that's fun. It's not necessarily unique up here, at least, but to me, that's unique.
Yeah, that's about as Alaskan as it gets, really. At that point.
Yeah, and. To me, at least, growing up in North Texas, especially our first winter here, well, I've never seen 6 feet of snow before. I mean, the most snow I ever saw was maybe like 3 inches, 4 inches. That was gone the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So, to me, that was unique just because it's a totally different experience for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you got that big snow experience the first winter. This second one's kind of been a bust. So,
Yeah, well, this is actually our third
winter. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, I mean, each one has been worse until this one when it's like, I looked out my window one morning at the house. 'Cause I work from the house a lot. I feel like I'm in North Texas again because, the grass is brown, but there's no snow on it. And it's a light rain falling. Well, that's often winter in North Texas.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, it's been a great winter as far as ice skating goes, but really for anything else, it's been really warm and hasn't been much snow.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm very concerned about forest fires this year. That's a completely separate topic. I'm sure
I have heard that, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll make a separate video on that another time.
Yeah.
So how do you guys find yourself dealing with the darkness and kind of the cold? Not so much this winter, but the cold and the darkness, because really for a lot of people, it's those two things that make Alaska kind of a tough place to live.
The darkness doesn't bother me. I don't know. It doesn't. My wife struggles with it a little bit. She got one of those, they call it the happy light, that she'll turn on in the mornings and sit in front, and that does help. And then the cold, I don't know, again, the cold doesn't really bother me. It bothers my wife a little bit more.
I wish you hadn't have said that. Now I'm just thinking about let it go, but
well,
continue.
Yeah. But even then, okay, well, she just puts on the coat, and it's, well, if we could deal with the cold here, or you can deal with 6 months of winter here or 6 months of summer in North Texas. Which do you want?
Yeah.
The summer in North Texas, there's a lot of humidity too. So it's not Houston miserable. Not that I don't like Houston. It's just, if you've ever been to Houston in the summer, it's miserable.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Yeah. I lost 5 pounds from sweat doing that. That's Houston. But they bothered her a little more than me. But again, as I maybe alluded to earlier, the cold doesn't feel quite the same here as it does in North Texas. I mean, when it's negative 20, it's cold. I mean, there's just no getting around that. But I've often caught myself dressed like this or a short sleeve shirt. Okay, it's 25 degrees outside. And if you stand out there long enough, yeah, you start to feel it, but it just doesn't feel as cold. So.
So now that you've been up here for a couple of years, would you say that it's about what you expected it was going to be, or if you had some surprises along the way?
I don't know that I'd say it's about what I expected it to be, because I'm honestly not sure what I expected it to be, or even what we expected it to be. A surprise, though, and it shouldn't have been a surprise because obviously it's a long way up here. But a surprise, I think, that caught us off guard was how long it takes to get anywhere from up here. Maybe we were spoiled because from Dallas-Fort Worth International, you can get to pretty much anywhere in the United States or Mexico or Central America in 3 to 4 hours. Well, it takes you 3 hours or 4 hours just to get out of the state here on an airplane. So I think that caught us a little off guard. As you know, we want to take a trip. Well, it's not like you're going to fly out at 6 o'clock in the morning and be somewhere by noon. We're going to fly out at 6 o'clock in the morning and not get anywhere till that afternoon or evening. So,
yeah, and that's something a lot of people just don't really seem to appreciate. And I think it's kind of the maps like not really serving us very well because looking at it, you would think like Alaska's, it's just like about where Canada is, just a little over the border and it's right there. But no, there are a lot of countries I can get to a lot faster than I can get to trying to get to a lot of states.
correct.
Like, before I made the flight all the way from Barrow, Alaska to like southern Florida, and I realized this is about as literally as far as you can get in any country without needing a passport.
Correct. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, but no, it takes a long time to get places to visit, folks. Are you guys finding you're having a lot of visitors like come up and visit y'all, or are you getting those skeptical family members and friends to come up and visit y'all?
Not yet, but a lot of that has to do with probably scheduling in different things because nieces and nephews or I don't know what they'd be classified to me, but family members. Oh, well, they have kids, but their kids got this during the summer and that during the summer, and we don't want to fly up there to spend a whole day flying, to spend 2 days and then fly back for another, day. And so it's some of that scheduling, less than a not want to or a skeptic, just we're trying to get it scheduled. My mom and my brother did come up last year it was September. And they both really enjoyed it. They're like, this is pretty nice. So they enjoyed it, but we haven't had anybody else get up here yet.
Gotcha.
Talk about it, just never get it scheduled. So
yeah. Well, just keep posting like all the pictures of Alaska online. Like eventually, that kind of breaks the dam and it does a little psychological warfare and does the heavy lifting for you.
And we've had multiple people when we post pictures of like the aurora. Oh, that's beautiful. That's on my bucket list. Feel free to come up. I really don't want to come up there in the winter, so
kind of how that works. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're seeing auroras in the summertime, I think that's just a nuclear fallout.
Correct.
So.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And the other thing on the distance is even just being up here. When you look at a map of Alaska, I think it's a little deceiving how long it takes you or until you get used to it, how long it takes you to get anywhere up here. It's not that a lot of places take forever to get to. From our house, we can get to 3 or 4 national parks in about 4 hours. But when you look at the map, he's like, that's like an hour drive. No, Denali's a 4-hour drive up there. Wrangell Elias is a 4-hour drive out there. So it just it takes a while to get places.
Mount Spur is upsettingly close, though.
Yes, now that is true. That is true. We have been, and we're like, okay, well, I was like, I've been through tornadoes before, hurricanes before. I've been through the small earthquakes up here before. Now, if I can just get a volcano, I can check all the natural disasters off my bucket list. And so, yeah.
Just a little from column A, column B at this point.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, and real quick, for those of you who are not aware, Mount Spur is a volcano down near the Kenai that is probably going to erupt any day now. So we'll see when this comes out. Who knows? Maybe it's already erupted. So hopefully this isn't the last you hear from us.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, that's great. So you kind of mentioned riding in the side-by-side and everything, kind of getting out a little bit. Are there any other activities that you guys have really liked and gravitated to here?
Yeah, we've really enjoyed a lot of the hikes, getting out and to explore different places. So we've enjoyed that. We've done a little snowshoeing. That took a little getting used to, just because it's a little different in how you do it. We've thought about trying cross country skiing. Haven't done it yet, but thought about trying it. We both enjoyed going, I guess you call it deep sea fishing, off of the Kenai.
Oh, the long lining?
No, well, I don't. Maybe it's not that. We've both been out on work trips, just out, fishing for halibut and different things. It's just, well, again, it takes you a little bit to get down there. Mm-hmm. Then it's not like they cruise out for 30 minutes. It's like a 3-hour boat ride through sometimes choppy water to get out to where they're going. But we've both enjoyed it. That's fun. It just takes a little bit.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So have you guys had a chance to really plug into like a lot of local groups or community things here yet?
Yes and no. The reason I say that, after we moved up here, we did find a church to start attending. And so we're plugged in there, but just the nature of the differences, I think, between churches, whether you're for them or against them, and, here versus the ones in North Texas, there's a lot of differences. And so, yeah, it's a little, in Texas, it's constant getting you plugged into groups and different things. And at least for us up here, that's been a little more challenging. You hear about, oh yeah, let's get together. But then everybody's gone during the summer. And then during the winter, nobody wants to go out. Or at least, our experience. So it's okay. So it's just been a little challenging.
Yeah, it definitely can sometimes feel like pulling teeth just trying to do stuff with Alaskans. Like they got your back when it matters, but they're sometimes not a very social group.
Well, something I thought about driving over here today was, I think a lot of my experience up here so far has been most Alaskans, whether native, they've been here 10 years or even 3 or 4 years. A lot of people like their independence and I hate to say solidarity, because I don't know that that's a fair statement, but they like their space.
Right.
And so that intrinsically, at least to me, means we're not going to cross paths as much. And so it's just, more and more difficult to connect.
Yeah, and I guess, Alaska's really not, if you're a really social butterfly, socialite, you're probably not going to be going to Alaska. So
fortunately, I'm not, so it doesn't really matter to me that much, but it's been a little challenging. Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, this is the part of the interview we get to do the big pros and cons. So obviously, no one expects anywhere to be perfect, and if it is, that's usually a red flag and usually a sign you just bought into a Ponzi scheme or something. Yeah. So we expect pros and cons. For you, what would you say the pros and cons of living in Alaska are?
To me, the pros are, if you'd like to be able to get out and to explore, it's a great pro. A lot of natural beauty here, even in obviously Anchorage or the big city here. Well, there's mountains surrounding it. You can see mountains everywhere. There's lots of things to do even in the city. There's lots of ways to get outside and explore and do things. All positives. To me, we haven't noticed things being tremendously more expensive here. Maybe, again, because we came from a big city. But, okay, some things are more expensive, which is the down, being from Texas, I love avocados and guacamole. Well, avocados are a lot more expensive here than they are in Texas.
Yeah. What are they, like $2 an avocado now?
Or more.
Or more, yeah. Okay.
And I don't know exactly what they're running currently in Texas, but when I left, I get them for about 50 cents a piece, if not less. So I say that just because some of what at least some people told us, or our impression was that things would be a lot more expensive. We haven't specifically noticed it. I mean, are they more expensive? Yes, but not as more expensive, generically, speaking. To me, a con would be, and I say it's a con, it's not, because it's not like there's not health care up here, but you don't have maybe is access to as much health care. Where we're from, there's a doctor's office every about a mile or so. Here it takes a little more effort to get into the doctor. When I injured my ankle, well, in Texas, I could probably been in a day or two, see a doctor. Probably have surgery scheduled within a week or two. Here, it took me a couple months to get all that done. So I bring that up only because, well, if you have acute medical needs, it's going to be a little trickier. The con is, as I mentioned earlier, the trying to get anywhere from up here. I enjoy that because it means we're kind of isolated from a lot of stuff. But the con also is, but the reverse is, it takes forever everywhere to get anywhere. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that can definitely be a mixed bag.
Yeah. We both enjoy the summers. As I mentioned earlier, I don't particularly, the dark doesn't bother me. It bothers my wife a little more. But if you have trouble sleeping, the summer is going to be a little challenging because, when the sun's beating down on you for 20 hours a day, a lot of sunlight.
Yeah, I mean, I know everyone talks about like the winters being really rough and depressing and all that. And I mean, for me, they are. I've got the happy or the sad lights, happy lights, whatever you want to call them. During the summertime, though, I also get hardly any sleep just because of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm getting like the melatonin and like experimenting with like the different stuff. Because, yeah, it can be, if you're very attuned to like the circadian rhythm of the sun coming up and going down, like it's going to be tough to sleep in Alaska during the summertime. And obviously, you go a month or so with getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep every night, you're going to start feeling that.
It does. I mean, we, as a recommendation to anybody, as they put the blackout shades, the blackout blinds on your bedroom, we've just had to make sure it's summer. Yeah, I know the sun's still up. It's 10 o'clock. We need to go to bed because we got to get up and go to work in the morning. We got to have to kind of make that conscious effort.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, James, I really do appreciate you coming by, sharing your perspective and, what it's been like being up here for you folks. And, glad to have you here. And, we've got the meetups and everything. We'll make sure to get you the invites for those.
Sounds good.
And it'll be a little bit easier once your ankle's 100%.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of what we do is hiking, man. So
yes. I understand.
We will make sure you get those invites, though. And
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Again, thank you. And yeah.
Yeah, keep it up.
Thank you.